Hello everybody, welcome back to YouTube. This is the newest video on my channel, at least as of right now. Now, around this time, pretty much every single year, I will make a collection video, a big collection where I show, oh my god, there's all the cars I have. Yeah, but this year I'm not going to do that. I figured it hasn't really changed all that much, I don't think. And plus, those videos are super long and you just have to breeze through every car super quickly. You don't really get a chance to talk about it. So what I'm going to do this year, or at least what the plan is, I'm going to separate the collection video into multiple different videos and sort them all by teams. That way, we'll be looking at a lot less cars in every video, and maybe if there's more interesting things to say about a particular car, we'll actually get the chance to say it, because that's something I can't really do in the big collection video because they're already super long and there's so many cars to talk about. Plus, this is a good chance for me to kind of scale the videos, the diecast videos back. It might not look like they're very difficult to make, and they're really not, but some of the editing that I've tried been doing with them just makes them take forever. So hopefully for this video, we're just going to be able to talk about cars. And we're going to be focusing on a lot of older cars from past seasons. It's another thing. It's kind of gotten a little bit repetitive for me to talk about some newer cars because I'm talking about stuff that I already talk about a lot in the podcast that I do. Just check that shit out. So yeah, I'm going to be talking mostly about older stuff. This is stuff I don't really talk about all that often. So we're going to see what's up. So Mercedes. Low key, to the lowest of keys, I might actually be a Mercedes fan, and maybe I secretly always have been, without even knowing it myself. I guess you guys can be the judge of that. I don't think Mercedes is the team that I have the most cars for. I wouldn't know. I maybe have said that in a past video, but I don't really remember at this point. Today we're going to be looking at all the Mercedes model diecasts that I have, not the Lego ones because I kind of just looked at them not too long ago. We'll start with the 143 scale cars and kind of just go year by year up, making it to the current year, and then we'll also look at the 1/118 scale that I have, but that one will be quick because I only have one. And I'll try to say what I remember about the diecast, maybe if there's any interesting things that happen with it. I know a lot of people are probably new here and probably don't really remember what I would have said in the original review, because honestly, I probably don't remember either. A lot of these cars I reviewed well over a year ago, some many, many years ago. So let's stop dilly-dallying around and let's take a look at the Mercedes F1 model collection. And so starting off where it all started, essentially, this is the Mercedes. Oh, I didn't even research the names. I have no idea what this one is. This is the Mercedes W05 from 2014. This car I actually reviewed in my first ever F1 diecast video way back in 2017. I bet a lot of you guys have never seen that video. I certainly haven't watched it in a long time. It's probably really, really bad. But this is from that first video. This is my first Mercedes diecast ever. It is a Bburago car. Bburago, I feel like their Mercedes are always pretty good. They don't release them every year. It's every couple of years we get a Mercedes car from Bburago, but they're all, I think, pretty decent. Of course, I think they have gotten a lot better since this one. But it's a solid looking car. I don't think the Bburagos look very good when they're glossy, but if they have a matte finish, they look nice. And the Mercedes always pretty much have a glossy finish to it, but I think they always look pretty good. Of course, 2014 was a pretty weird era for F1 cars. They had really weird noses. But the Mercedes was not as phallic as some of the other ones. I think the biggest issue with this car is probably up here with the Mercedes logo. It took a long time for Mercedes to kind of figure out how to integrate their white logo onto this silver car. And so for a lot of cars, you get like this splotch of black and then they put the Mercedes logo on top of it so it doesn't blend in with the silver. This one certainly doesn't look the worst. There are some of the earlier Mercedes cars look a lot worse, but this one isn't too bad, but it's probably the worst that I have a diecast for, honestly, but not the worst that they ever did. BlackBerry, that was a premium, or that was a prime Mercedes sponsor when they first started, and I don't even think BlackBerry exists anymore. Something tells me that's something I said in that original video. Maybe I'll flash up a clip if I remember. And BlackBerry, I don't know if Mercedes still sponsors BlackBerry, but it would seem kind of pointless because no one knows what BlackBerry is now. They're essentially irrelevant. Do they even still make phones? Does BlackBerry even exist still? But yeah, overall, this one's not terrible. It's just not that great. It's not that remarkable in many ways. There's no seat detail whatsoever. It's just silver, unless that was the way it was. But yeah, it's one of the first Bburago cars I ever got. And it's not too bad, but not fantastic in any way. They certainly got a lot better. Next up is another Bburago car. It's 2016, and it's Nico Rosberg, the 2016 World Champion. That was the year he beat Lewis Hamilton in equal machinery. Definitely a step up from the 2014, from Bburago's end, and from just the general race livery. I think is a lot better this time around than the 2014, specifically up here. They integrated this black a little bit better with the logo. For some reason, I doubt the printing on the real car is this simplified. This looks super simple compared to what I bet it actually looks like. But it's just another Bburago. Nico Rosberg is a very interesting driver to me. He doesn't really... I think when he entered F1, you know, obviously it's a different era, but he wasn't, you know, immediately spelled as a world champion when he first started F1. Like, you know, these Charles Leclercs and Max Verstappen, they come into F1, and you know they're going to be a champion one day. But Nico Rosberg, I don't think that really happened, but he started all the way back in 2006. And it took him 10 years to win his first F1 title. And then he just left. And now he's a commentator, and I think he's pretty funny. He talks a lot of shit, though, I think. So this is not a terrible car. This is very loose. I have no idea what video I reviewed this car in. I know I did it because it's a Bburago, early days of me doing videos on cars, but I don't even remember which video I would have done this. And I don't really know if I would have known it was this shaky, but... who really knows? There is Nico Rosberg 2016. But we are not yet done with Nico Rosberg because we've got this car right here. This is a Spark model. It's the Nico Rosberg Abu Dhabi Grand Prix champion winning car, I guess. This is probably the most interesting diecast I actually have because it's customized. Basically, not like none of the other cars. I don't know. I probably haven't taken this car off the base ever, really. I made a video on this one, but it never got uploaded. I guess I just didn't think it turned out very well. But this car, the wheels are slightly turned on it. The headrest is out, and so is the steering wheel. And, of course, the driver figure is right here and not actually in the car itself. It's probably the best detailed driver figure that I've ever seen, because most of the time the detailing is, I mean, it's good, but I don't think they've got legs most of the time. But yeah, this is the first time I ever got Bburago and a Spark, or Bburago and another brand, but this one is just so different that I couldn't really do a comparison on it. But this is probably the most interesting one that I have. You can see even the seat belts are on the seat. So this one is pretty cool, but as I said, I never made a video on it, or I never uploaded the video that it got for. So this is pretty much a collection video exclusive where I go over this one. But it is pretty cool, and maybe one day I'll come back to it and look a little bit closer. Maybe you can take this one off the base. It's not different in that sense from the other cars. So that is a pretty interesting one. Maybe I'll come back to it one day. But it's just got, the details this one has that the other ones don't. It's pretty cool. But yeah, that is Nico Rosberg, the world champion, beat Lewis Hamilton in equal machinery. That's something that you don't see too often. Skipping over 2017, because I never actually got a 2017 Mercedes model, and we're going into 2018, and this is Valtteri Bottas. Now, part of the reason I got this car, and you'll see people comment about it every once in a while, is that in 2018 and 2019, I tried to collect every 2018 model or at least one for every car. I wanted all 20 cars and drivers that competed in 2018. That never happened. That never finished. I think I got over halfway, but I don't really remember at this time. But I kind of ran out of steam, and it just didn't really quite work out. Well, a lot of things happened in 2019, and it just didn't quite work out. But this Valtteri Bottas has made frequent appearances since then, so I won't talk about it too much. It is a very nice car, the Minichamps. The Minichamps Mercedes, the silver ones at least, I think look fantastic. They're some of my favorite. This one isn't quite my favorite, but we'll see that in not too long which one is. But this car made frequent appearances in the past year because it has moving wheels, which is something that I found out by accident and was super surprised that it happened because I was under the impression that no mini champs had moving wheels, at least the modern ones, but this one does. But there are other videos where I've talked about that, so I won't address it too much here. But Valtteri Bottas, I don't think I ever mentioned this on this channel, but Valtteri Bottas at the beginning of the season was actually my favorite driver and is one of my favorite drivers. I kind of clowned on him when he drove for Mercedes, but so did everybody. But I actually thought, I mean, he had a great start to this season with Alfa Romeo. It sort of faded off. I'm filming this right before the Singapore Grand Prix, so I guess we'll see if something happens tomorrow. But yeah, it's been a struggle a bit since the mid part of the season for Valtteri Bottas. But I still think he is a really, really good driver. The fact that he was teammates with Lewis Hamilton and had to play second fiddle to him didn't really help. 2018 was one of his worst years, but I think if I recall, he actually could have won a couple races and had just a couple things gone differently in 2018. He maybe could have fought for the championship, but that is, of course, that's not really prevalent. That's not really important now. This one looks pretty similar to the 2016 car, though. It's got the same type of blackout for the Mercedes logo. It's just not that different, but it is the first Mercedes I got on the post-2017 rule regulations. So, you know, it's pretty cool, but I think there are a couple that did it a little better. So we're about to talk about those ones right now, sort of. Not quite, but we're getting there. Now we have two cars. These are the 2019 Mercedes, the Bburago releases of these cars. And honestly, I think these are probably the best Bburago cars that they ever made. Maybe not fully. The Red Bulls from 2021 are pretty good, but they also kind of look the same as all the other Red Bulls. So I really, really liked these cars when they came out. And I remember, I think this video was my most viewed video for a very long time, which is surprising, but I really liked these ones. There's no like paint bubbles. There's no really, really bad things on this car. You know, they're not super high quality, but that's kind of what you're getting into with Bburago. So I always thought that these cars were super, super nice. This is Lewis Hamilton. I'm trying to think about anything from the 2019 season that I particularly remember. I think the 2019 season wasn't the best for F1. I don't really remember anything about it besides like Brazil. But you know, we were pretty spoiled in 2021, so it's hard to really remember anything before that. But you know, these cars are pretty good. One thing that's weird about the Valtteri Bottas, though, is that the screw on the bottom here it's just not built correctly, and so you hear that. That's the bottom kind of scraping on the table, whereas the Lewis Hamilton doesn't really do that. So I don't know why this got built incorrectly or whatever. But I was pretty happy that they made Valtteri Bottas because in 2019, they only made one Red Bull. We only got Max Verstappen. We didn't get his teammates. Of course, he had two that season with Pierre Gasly and Alex Albon. But I never saw a 2014 Nico Rosberg or a 2016 Lewis Hamilton. So I don't know if they ever made just one of those. So I was glad we got both. And up to that point, I didn't really have a lot of Valtteri Bottas diecasts. And of course, these were some of the first videos I made after the pandemic started. which was a pretty big time for this channel when that started. Obviously, it kind of sucked for a lot of people, but I started making more videos then, so I don't know what that says, honestly. And now we have the big one, the Minichamps Mercedes from 2019. And this is probably still my favorite F1 model I have. I think the 2019 livery is the best Mercedes livery. Maybe 2022 is a little bit better. I'll have to get a model for that to really make sure. But silver Mercedes, they just look so awesome. We'll talk a little bit more about the black ones in a second, but I think the silver ones look just fantastic. And this car, I mean, I did an extensive look at this car comparing it to the Bburago ones, and you can check that video out. But this one just looks so great, and I really like the sort of gradient design they got. They kind of finally got it right in 2019, I think. And so this one I'm super, super, super happy with. It's the best looking Mercedes car I have, and that's kind of all I have to say about it. It doesn't have moving wheels like the Valtteri Bottas, but I've already talked about that a lot. This one is just the cream of the crop, I think. I think this is kind of, this is the best F1 model I have still. I really like a lot of the other ones that I've gotten since then, but this one, actually, didn't I say, I think I said in that other video that Toro Rosso, the 2019 Daniel Kvyat, was my favorite. I'd have to think about that, honestly, but I think, I don't know, silver Mercedes just looks great. There's nothing else I can really say about it. Now, before we get on to 2020, there is one more 2019 Mercedes that I never made a video on. This one right here. Now I'll have to pull the camera back a bit. Now, eagle-eye viewers might have seen this one in the background because I've probably owned it for about a year now. And it's been in the background of my videos for probably just as long. This is 2019 Mercedes from the German Grand Prix when they had that sort of throwback type livery with the white on the front. I was originally going to make a comparison video between this and I think the Bburago cars because, and I have no idea what this brand is called anymore. Someone in the comments enlighten me. I have no idea what the brand of these model cars is anymore, but I think they come from a magazine, hence why it's ripped off the back of something. Like this was on a magazine, but they talked about certain F1 cars in it, and I'm pretty sure I heard that the quality of these cars were similar to Bburago. So I was going to do a comparison, but I just never got around to it because 2019, I think I even said in one of my videos, like, this was the next car. Like, the next car I was going to talk about was a Mercedes, and it ended up getting sidelined by the 2021 Bburago Mercedes car. So this one, I might come back to it, but I don't even remember the brand that this was for. And honestly, it's just old news. But yeah, it's pretty cool to still have this one, but this is essentially its video debut because I never did the review on it. Maybe it'll be out of the box this time next year. I think it comes with a plastic case, so there's no reason. Yeah, it definitely does. So, I might as well just take it out right now, huh? Like, you might as well. I don't think I ever realized that it had, like, a plastic cover like some of the other cars. Let's give it a sniff, I guess. Has many spinning wheels. Interesting stuff here, but I won't go any further. We'll save this for another day maybe, but yeah, that's the German Grand Prix Mercedes that never was on this channel, but maybe one day it will be. And we're getting into familiar territory. Here is the 2020 Mercedes driven by Valtteri Bottas. This is a Minichamps. I bought this solely to see if it would have moving wheels for one of those videos I made about this topic, and it does. It's a little dusty. This one's kind of just been up on my shelf for a while now. I wasn't a particular fan of this one. This is when I started to notice that maybe the Minichamps weren't all they cracked up to be, or at least weren't what they used to be. The livery on this one is a little bit grayer than I think it should be. It should be pretty much dark black. It's kind of gray. Dark gray, but still gray. The 2020 Mercedes, or not just even 2020, the black Mercedes, I don't think look as good as the silver ones, but they obviously served a much more important purpose, I guess you could say. Of course, because the end racism and all that pretty fucked shit that happened in 2020. And, well, I guess it's not exclusively 2020, but I don't think we really need to talk about that in this video, but maybe we should. But, you know, I think it was important to have this car be black for a couple of years. It stood for something. But, you know, I'm glad to have the silver back. Obviously, it doesn't punch as big a, doesn't leave as much of a gut punch, you know. I guess I don't know if that's necessarily the right word, but I definitely agree with what they were trying to say with this car. But anyway, this one in particular doesn't look that great. I think this is from Austria. I think this is from the Austrian Grand Prix that Valtteri Bottas won. But I don't know for sure. The significantly better black Mercedes from that year was the Lewis Hamilton model. This is a Spark model. This is from the Turkish Grand Prix. And I mentioned it in the video that I thought it was going to have like scuffed tires. I think the 1/18th scale version of this car has scuffed tires, and it might even have the dirt on it. Because, of course, the Turkish Grand Prix, I mean, obviously, it's got intermediate tires. It was in the rain, and it was one of the craziest races I think we've ever seen. Probably one of my favorite races of all time is the 2020 Turkish Grand Prix. And Lewis Hamilton still won. So that, I mean, that shows you can have a good race, but a predictable winner nonetheless. I think this Singapore Grand Prix tomorrow is going to be really good, but I would not be shocked if Max Verstappen still wins from 8th place. So, you know, if Max Verstappen's going to put on a show, I don't care if he wins every race. If he starts from the back or not the right spots. This one also came with all the pit boards, but they're off scattered away, so we're not going to look at those right now. But yeah, this is definitely one of my favorite cars that I own. And this is, I mean, this one really makes the black livery look really nice. I think this particular car has the black livery. It stands up against the silver one. I didn't ever get a Minichamps or Spark 2021 Mercedes, so I don't really know how that one holds up, but, you know, whatever. But yeah, this one's pretty cool, and it was Lewis Hamilton's 7th world title. And lastly, but certainly not leastly, is the 2021 Bburago Valtteri Bottas. I never got my hands on the Lewis Hamilton. It was impossible to find. Especially after Abu Dhabi and that championship battle. That one was so difficult to find, but I did get the Valtteri Bottas from AliExpress. I don't think was too thrilled with this one. It's very glossy, and even the suspension is glossy. It's not too bad, but I didn't like this as much. I didn't like this AMG and then fade to silver, the gradient to silver, as much as the Mercedes logo gradient they had in 2019 and 2020. And I just didn't really like this Mercedes livery that much compared, I think, to 2020. That's probably part of the reason I was like, yeah, we can leave the black livery, because this one just didn't look as good. Even though I only made this video probably a year ago, or even less than a year ago, I just don't really remember what I would have had to say about this car. I honestly kind of forget I even have it sometimes. This one is, this video, I think I sort of just slapped this review together, but I don't know for sure. But yeah, it's a pretty decent car. I probably will never get a 2021 Mercedes for Minichamps or Spark unless I find it for a good price. But yeah, I don't think it's too bad, but not a whole lot to say about this Bburago car. This was kind of the point where I was a little bit tired of reviewing the Bburago cars. So yeah, but hey, I think they're releasing McLaren and Alfa Romeo this year, or at least I've seen rumors. So if they do that, you'll definitely see a review of Bburago cars this season, but who knows. And this right here is the actual last car that I will be looking at in this video. 1/18th scale Bburago Lewis Hamilton from 2016. I said I didn't know if they made a 2016 Lewis Hamilton in Bburago. That was just for the 143 scales. I've never seen a Lewis Hamilton 2016 143 scale from Bburago, but of course they've got the big old one, the bigger one right here. Yeah, this is Did I make a video on this car? I don't even remember, honestly. This is one of my first 1/18 scale cars. I had to have made a video on it if it was one of my first. I think it was my first, actually. But yeah, this one's pretty nice. I think the 1/18 scale Buragos are a really good deal. They're usually more accurate. And they're a pretty good price, especially when you compare them to Spark and Minichamps 1/18 scale. So these ones are definitely worth getting. I think this is the last time they ever made a Mercedes 1/18 scale, though. They may have made Red Bull since then, but I think it almost just might be Ferrari that they do. Of course, Bburago and their Ferraris is subject for another video, but this one is pretty cool. I wish they made a more Mercedes in 1/18 scale because I definitely would buy those. I haven't bought a 1/18 scale Bburago since 2019, so, and I never even made a video on it, I don't think. So, yeah, this one is pretty cool. I don't have a whole lot to say about it, but Lewis Hamilton, of course, lost to Nico Rosberg in equal machinery that year, so that's probably that's the story of that one. But pretty decent. Definitely, I recommend the Bburago 1/18 scale more than the 1/43 scales. Probably they're just a pretty good deal. And there you have it, everyone. There is the Mercedes collection, the Mercedes F1 model diecast, whatever you want to call them, collection for 2022. I will hopefully actually get the 2022 Mercedes not too long. I don't think Bburago's making it this year, but I will probably get a Spark or something at some point. I think that's a really nice looking car. Thank you guys for watching this video. Subscribe for more. Check out the podcast because I talk about F1 there. That's why I'm not talking about it as much here anymore. But yeah, that is a team I like a lot, surprisingly. I probably wouldn't have admitted to that last year. I probably wouldn't have said that or even thought that last year because I really did want Max to win last year. But now that they're not winning anymore, kind of miss it. Kind of wish a real team would step up and beat Red Bull because, you know, those other guys can't really do it. But more on that in the next collection video, perhaps. But yes, that is it for this one. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.